Ruin DLC just had a ton of news come out over the past few days, including an alleged brand new show teasing the game, along with some minor pointers to potential release dates in the future. Like the video if you're hyped for Ruin, and as a reward, here's the photo of a Pila bird. Anyway, if you didn't know, recently Steelwood Studios has subtly been leaking tons of news about the long-awaited Ruin DLC. Most notably, this past week, the website securitybreachtv.com that first held the Freddy and Friends on tour teasers for the original Security Breach game was randomly updated, showing us this weird monitor keyboard thing inside of a suitcase with the Pizzaplex logo bouncing around it as if it were deactivated. Now, what made this teaser really interesting is that on the site and in the source code, the dates April 6th and April 13th can be found, which basically tells us that something mysterious is going to be happening on these dates that are coming up here in just about a week. Now, unfortunately for us, following this news, Steelwood must have caught wind of the leak, and the site to this day is now back to the original design with the old Freddy and Friends show. However, the biggest question that we got out of this leak wondering was, what in the world are these two dates for, and also what is this teaser here going to contain for Ruin in the near future? And today I wanted to break this down because even though April Fool's Day was just yesterday, we got tons of serious news. So recently, following the website leak, we got real reports that Security Breach is going to end up having a brand new show of some sorts. More specifically, a few days ago, I was sent an email by a viewer linking me to this IMDb webpage, which if you didn't know is a site for different movie and TV shows, for an animated series called simply Untitled Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Project, which when the page first came up was labeled as a TV series with a length of 20 minutes and only one labeled episode simply called episode number 1.1. Now, what's probably the most interesting about this page is that the original 4 people casted for this mysterious show were Kellen Goff, Marta Svedic, Heather Masters, and Cameron Miller, who are all conveniently enough the 4 voice actors who voiced the main characters in Security Breach: Glamrock Freddy, Roxanne Wolf, Glamrock Chica, and Montgomery Gator. So this is an absolutely massive leak, assuming it's true, but is this even real? After all, it is really easy to fake stuff on this website, just look around. Well, after doing some research, this page, in my opinion, is actually 100% real. Kind of. See, from what I gathered, this page was actually uploaded to IMDb Pro, which is simply just a paid version of the original site with more in-depth and accurate information, and as far as I know, they only put stuff on the Pro site when there's a credible source who listed it there first, which essentially is all the proof that we need to suggest that this show, whatever it is in fact real. I even checked with other very reliable news sources such as Johnny Blocks, and he even said the same thing. Now, the only thing is, after this news broke, if we look at the page today, it has been absolutely vandalized to shreds, with new people being added such as Matt Pat and Scott Cawthon himself, but the original listing itself is almost 100% guaranteed authentic. And so for the sake of theorizing, it's safe to assume that this is real, but then this begs the question, what in the world does this mean for the Ruin DLC? Well, as you may remember, the item from Security Breach TV was this random portable closed monitor of some sorts out of operation. However, some versions of this teaser and source code actually showed them testing out embedding YouTube videos into the screen to look like they are on the monitor itself, very similar to the Freddy and Friends videos from the old monitor before. So to me, it sounds like at some point in the future, we are going to be getting a brand new series featuring the original Security Breach cast that in some way is going to tease and tell us what to expect for Ruin whenever it ends up releasing. I don't really know what the show is going to be about, or maybe if it's just a continuation of the original Freddy and Friends series. However, whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be really cool. Maybe we will finally get an origin story or something telling us who this new character is, because we have been left hanging since this teaser released for 10 months now, and I just got to know who they are at this point. It's by far Security Breach's biggest ongoing mystery, in my opinion. Also, I don't know if it's a placeholder or not, but the fact that this series on the page was labeled as 20 minutes is freaking insane. I mean, that's an entire TV show episode worth of content compared to the 60-second shorts we got for Security Breach originally. Assuming it is accurate, however, I would be cautious because while the site itself might be official, there's probably a lot of placeholders and stuff they just put there temporarily, so until the show comes out, we won't really know any specifics, but it's still incredibly interesting. If I had to guess, as I've stated in other videos, I imagine the April 6th day will be the day the website updates to show us this new monitor, and April 13th will unveil the actual show, hopefully giving us some insane secrets. minutes. Anyway, the second and just as interesting piece of Ruin news that we got is that recently we were given a release date for a brand new book for Security Breach called The Security Breach Files Updated Edition, a sequel to the original one that dropped this past September as a guide and collector's piece for the original game. And this book is currently set to release this year on December 26th, which is cool and all. However, what makes it really interesting is that if we read the description, it reads, "This deluxe paperback is a deep dive into the newest FNAF game, the addition to any fan's library. Now updated with more content and a walk through the all-new Ruin DLC missions. From the newest animatronics to the deepest maps and Easter eggs, everything is laid out in awesome detail that would deepen the knowledge of even the most enthusiastic player." So, wow, this brand new book is apparently going to give us a real in-depth guide into the Ruin DLC and a walkthrough of it as well, which basically proves to us that yes, the DLC is still set to release this year, and in fact, it may be releasing earlier than when people may have anticipated. See, there's two ways to look at this book announcement. On one hand, this could be telling us that the Ruin DLC will be dropping sometime later in the year, around December, because it would make sense for them to release the guide near the game's actual launch. However, on Twitter, I saw a lot of people pointing out that the original Security Breach files from the first game didn't release until September of 2022, an entire 9 months after the game itself released. So I don't want to say too much, but especially as we're getting closer to all of these teasers coming out, we could actually be getting the Ruin DLC at some point nearer than expected. Especially since if assuming the monitor teaser from before is similar to the original Security Breach TV teasers, then the game could only be like a couple months away, but I don't want to assume too much. In terms of Ruin contents, I found it a little bit interesting that they said that they were making a guide to explore the new Ruin missions. And honestly, this part had me wondering a lot. Is Ruin going to be its own new like little game, or is it rather going to be an expansion onto the base Security Breach like what we've seen with other games? Because to be honest, it sounds like the latter, which confused me a bit. Plus, this reminded me, if the game takes place after Security Breach, which the cover art suggests it does, then after which ending? And if you get the wrong ending, what happens? Do you have to play the game again to unlock the DLC? Is it going to be something entirely separate from Security Breach, or is it going to be built into the world like what we've seen with games like Cuphead: The Delicious Last Course? Maybe it's just its own thing, or maybe I'm looking way too deep into just one line of text. I don't know, but either way, I'm really excited, especially since I just started replaying Security Breach again, and at least in my opinion, some areas are starting to grow on me, such as the endoskeleton weeping angel room that shows the game can be really fun when it's scary. So the more horror-based approach of Ruin DLC gives me a lot of hope, as long as they avoid the mindless sneak scenes and the double Vanessa glitches. Unless this wasn't a glitch. One more thing I wanted to clarify about this book is that I got really hyped when I read from the newest animatronics to the deepest maps and Easter eggs after talking about Ruin. But just to make it clear, they just copy-pasted the original file's description and just added Ruin stuff in the middle, so it doesn't mean anything in particular. But still, this is a big few pieces of news, and I'm shocked to hear about it all. I saw a lot of people saying this was an April Fool's joke because yesterday was April 1st, and others making up a bunch of fake stuff. But once again, I checked with sources a few times, and all this stuff is basically 100% confirmed, unless somebody behind the scenes is pulling some strings and making something wild happen. But yeah, this is a massive Ruin update, and now we're finally done with the speculation, and we can wait until April 6th to finally get some real official news. Subscribe for all that when it happens, and peace.